Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the latest on concerns regarding Arizonans exposed to the hantavirus. Also tonight, a new clinical trial aims to control type 2 diabetes without the use of drugs. And Maricopa Community Colleges calls on the state to restore foundational operating aid. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. A second person in Arizona is confirmed to have been a passenger aboard a Dutch cruise ship exposed to the hantavirus outbreak. Now, what do these two cases mean in terms of hantavirus exposure in Arizona? And what does all of this mean for Arizonans traveling this summer? For that, we welcome Dr. Jeffrey Langland. He's an educator and researcher at Sonoran University of Health Sciences. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. So let's start with hantavirus. What is a hantavirus?
It's just one of a number of viruses that can infect humans. Typically regarded as not a common human pathogen. Almost all the cases we typically see are from rodents that are carrying the virus, spread into their feces or urine, and that gets swept up and aerosolized. If you inhale that, you can get exposed to it.
Incubation period would be how long?
Typically it's about a week or so, but there are those rare cases that can go on quite a bit longer, and so it can go up to 40 days or so as far as...
Interesting. And there's no rhyme or reason for that?
No, just person's body.
Interesting. All right. Symptoms. What are the initial symptoms? When do you think you need to go and check out what you got?
So unfortunately, initial symptoms, it is a respiratory virus, so it gets into the lungs, and so initial symptoms are going to be more typical of your common cold, flu-like symptoms. You're going to feel the fever, maybe a headache, some fatigue, malaise, that sort of thing. It'll progress more into more severe lung conditions where it's going to get more difficult to breathe.
So again, as it progresses, it's the lungs that get it.
Yes. And that's what you're typically going to die from respiratory distress. And so the virus gets down to the lungs. You can basically develop pneumonia and die from that sort of condition.
Is that progression quick?
Reasonably. Typically it's in about a week or two after you get exposed.
Okay. Is this, we had an hantavirus here at outbreak in Arizona back in the 1990s.
Yes.
And it was in northern and eastern parts of the state. It was a big deal.
Yes.
And a lot of people died and got injured, and it was just not good.
Right.
But we hadn't heard about the hantavirus
before that.
Okay. Before that or even after that until now.
Yeah.
Is this what's happening now similar to what happened in Arizona then?
Yes and no. So back in 1993, when that outbreak occurred in northern Arizona, we hadn't heard much about hantavirus. We didn't really know they existed much in the United States. That outbreak, again, was an increase in the rodent population in that area. There were more feces being dropped into that area, and so people got exposed and led to that initial discovery. I do want to make it clear, though, hantavirus didn't disappear completely, and we still have typically about 30 to 40 cases a year in the United States. And again, it's people that are exposed to rodent populations, campsites and things like this where rodents are running around.
Okay, compare, though, that hantavirus with what we had on this Dutch cruise, because I think they call that the Andes version.
Andes strain. So there's different strains of all these different viruses. All the strains that are in the United States, there's no human-to-human transmission, so transmission is solely by exposure of rodent feces. The Andes strain is typically from rodent droppings, and that's probably how the initial people on the cruise got exposed to it. An excursion from the cruise ship, got exposed to rodents in the environment, picked without aerosolation of the feces, got exposed to it. Now, the Andes strain is different, though, from all the other strains of hantavirus, where there can be rare human-human transmission. And I do want to make that clear. It's very, very rare for the most part. You need typically prolonged exposure, sleeping with somebody, day-to-day, hour-to-hour exposure. Not like COVID or the flu, where you can really just walk by someone who sneezes on you, you're going to get exposed. This is not that situation.
So it's not something that could be in the environment for a certain period. It's got to be pretty close exposure.
Right.
So for the two Arizonans, are these Maricopa County residents?
That I do not know, actually.
I think they might be. One passenger I know was taken to Nebraska for evaluation. What was that all about?
Here again, there seems to be a lot of panic of what to do with these patients and how best to deal with them. So kind of like we're dealing with the Ebola outbreak right now, too.
Yes.
We're kind of shuttling people around to where we think the best facilities are.
So, but I think that Nebraska obviously has something that they're dealing with it.
Right.
Is that the kind of thing where they just monitor these people
Yes.
until they come? Do you know if they've come back at all?
They're still being monitored, so they haven't come back yet. And again, they're showing no signs of symptoms whatsoever, and more than likely they're not going to. Again, typical symptoms typically come along the first week or two. Rarely do they come along later than that. So more than likely, this is going to be the end of this current outbreak, that everybody that showed symptoms initially are probably the ones that are going to be the end of this outbreak, but we have to quarantine everybody else.
When you come down with these symptoms and they start progressing, is this just a death sentence, or are there ways to treat this?
It's there's not great ways to treat it. It's more prophylactic, trying to reduce lots of times your immune system gets overabundant, so it's a lot of times putting on immunosuppressive drugs to decrease the storm that's occurring inside your lungs and sort of thing here. But it's not a death sentence, but mortality rate can be typically around 30% or so. So
wow,
it's pretty high.
That's close enough.
And that's the concern about it, is this is a very, very deadly virus. Luckily, though, it's not easily transmitted from person to person.
So with that in mind, Arizona's traveling this season, maybe some taking a cruise ship, you never know. What should they be concerned about this?
As far as hantavirus, absolutely not. I mean, this is likely going to be the end of this outbreak. The one cruise ship that, came out of South America, did a short excursion where they got exposed to these rodents and this sort of thing here. Cruise ships in general do expose some risk, though. We often hear about cruise ships with norovirus outbreaks or respiratory illness and that sort of thing. And that will continue to exist. Norovirus is spread more or less by contact, where someone comes on, more or less it's fecal oral transmitted, so if someone contaminates a surface, a doorknob, buffet with their hands, that sort of thing here, it can be transmitted and picked up that way.
So bottom line, before you go, what do Arizonans need to know about all this?
Just be conscientious of what's around you. Hantavirus, I wouldn't really worry about. Other viruses that you may be exposed to, just are same things that are going on. We live in a world post-COVID, and so everybody's on this panic stage right now, and we don't need to do that. We have no viruses right now that are likely becoming a pandemic. It's just the day-to-day. Will you be exposed to COVID, the flu, or if on a cruise ship, norovirus that may lead to some diarrhea? Yeah. But again, cruise ships, there's 10,000 cruise ships a year. Usually we have about 15 to 20 cruise ships that have an outbreak of norovirus. So pretty rare.
All right, Dr. Jeffrey Lang, Sonoran University. Good luck on your trip.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Catherine Anaya, host of Horizonte, the groundbreaking program that has served as a platform for Arizona's Latino community for more than 2 decades.
Latinos care about issues across the board, just like everyone else.
There's a lot of diversity in thought and opinion. We just need to make sure parents understand the value in having multilingual students.
We like to hear our voices heard. Stream episodes online at azpbs.org, YouTube, or on the PBS app.
Arizona PBS would like to recognize all of our dedicated Legacy Society members. These are individuals who have generously included Arizona PBS in their estate planning. We are so grateful these loyal viewers chose to make the future of Arizona PBS a part of their lasting legacy. Thank you. To learn how you can join the Legacy Society, please call Robin Duda at 602-496-3614.
Health Research Institute is looking to become the first research facility in the country to run a clinical trial that aims to control type 2 diabetes without the use of drugs. The trial involves a minimally invasive endoscopic procedure to restore the body's ability to control blood sugar. And to learn more, we welcome Dr. James Swain. He's from Honor Health Research Institute's Bariatrics and GI Research Division. Doctor, good to have you here.
Glad to be here.
Type 2 diabetes, let's just start. What is it?
Well, type 2 diabetes is the inability to move sugar from your bloodstream into the cells. And so type 1 diabetes is the lack of insulin produced in the body to allow that to happen. Type 2 diabetes is becoming insulin resistant. So you have the insulin and you make plenty of it. It's just that the receptor for the insulin is so insensitive to it that it doesn't bring the sugar into the cells efficiently.
What makes it insensitive?
Well, there's a variety of reasons for that. One is obesity, 2 is genetics, 3 is environment. And so we normally see type 2 diabetes correlated with obesity, but it's also other things.
So the pancreas is producing enough insulin, it's just not, the cells just aren't working.
Well, you actually make more than normal. So the body sees that their sugars is in excess, and so it keeps trying to produce more and more insulin, but the insulin receptor on the cell is insensitive to it.
Interesting. Impact on health if not managed properly?
Right, so it affects basically every organ system in the body: vision, liver, kidney, lung, heart. And so once those high sugars, it just causes an inflammatory state, and then your body attacks the inflammation.
Now, you got a clinical trial plan to fight this disorder, and this includes, correct me if I'm wrong here, modifying like the digestive tract. What's going on here?
Right, so when the food leaves the stomach, so not much is absorbed in the stomach at all. So basically absorption starts in the small intestine. So the duodenum is the first part of the small intestine. The lining of that intestine, the mucosa, is where all the beginning of digestion and absorption begins. And so there's an interplay there with incretins and cholecystokinin and PYY and all these other hormones that makes it so that it tests our resistance to insulin, and that can be affected by many things.
But the clinical trial looks to do what? Like, it sounds like you're using steam. First of all, you're using steam.
Right.
How'd that come about?
Well, you need heat. You need energy. And so basically what the trial is doing is denuding or ablating the lining of the duodenum so that the things that have occurred in the past that have made it insensitive, or the transient movement and the interplay with the incretins and such, is become inefficient. So what the goal is to use the device, as you can see here, that's through the scope, and it's passing down and creating just basically a little cage, and we're vaporizing water and basically creating steam that cooks basically the lining of the duodenum. So what it does is it allows that mucosa to regrow. And so you're basically sort of starting fresh with new, like you were when you were born.
So it sounds to me, it's almost like you're like repainting a house or something here. You're cleaning everything out so that it will regrow?
Yeah, if you're using the analogy of painting a house, it's like stripping down to the bare wood and starting over.
And starting over.
Right.
And this will occur. It will start over. I mean.
Yeah, 14 days actually.
That's that quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable.
And that just in and of itself will reset the body's ability to control blood sugar?
Yeah, it makes it more efficient in processing sugars so that it's just more as like you were when you were born. And so, it's a gradual thing over time that happens with diabetes. So,
yeah.
But the beauty of this is it can be done with an endoscope, and it's direct vision, takes less than 60 minutes. And so the initial studies in Chile on 27 patients, all patients were on insulin. They did this study. They got every patient off insulin and for at least a year.
Holy
so
smoke,
they're able to control the sugars with meds or nothing. So
and so the testing has been done in Chile, but not here.
Right. So the FDA requires that we start those trials here and not use that data. So that's what this is, a pilot study. So 10 to 20 patients, and so we're actively recruiting at Honor Health.
Will this impact body weight?
Yeah, so that's a secondary question for sure. This is a pilot study, so we're looking at safety, and then we're looking at decreasing the hemoglobin A1C, or long-term sugars. Eventually will be body weight, because we know that if you control your sugars better, then you should lose weight. But that's for a further study.
Will this affect the diet of those who undertake the procedure?
No, actually, we don't really ask them to change their diet. It's just what they do eat. They should be more efficient at it. Obviously, diabetics are supposed to keep down their sugar content and things like that.
But the outpatient procedure?
Outpatient procedure. Yeah.
And you can just walk across the street and start eating afterwards?
We would want you on a tailored diet, mostly something pretty bland for the first few days, and so we ramp their diet up, but basically nothing significant.
Are you looking for folks that are already insulin dependent?
For this particular study, we actually want patients not on insulin. So this is a pilot trial. So we're just looking to show to the FDA that this is safe. And so you pick the patients that have the least risk from that standpoint, and that would be non-insulin patients.
And so right now you're looking for participants, correct?
Correct.
And when does this whole thing start? Or
We're enrolling right now. In fact, I just screened a patient yesterday, the first patient yesterday. So it takes a bit to roll into it because of all the inclusion, exclusion criteria and testing, but if they contact Honor Health Research Institute, we'll help them with that.
How do they contact you? How do they learn more about this?
It's on the website for honorhealth.com. There's a research tab there, and then we could provide the phone number.
The last question. This sounds like it could be endoscopy. That's not a serious. It's obviously a procedure,
right?
But it's minimally invasive.
It's about as minimal as you get, and so the goal is to get off insulin because insulin's a builder, and the more insulin you take, the more insulin you basically need, and so you get in this doom loop of needing these medications, and so if we can break that cycle. With a minimally invasive procedure that really doesn't affect anything, then we're going to be way ahead of the game.
Oh, that sounds very encouraging. Dr. James Swain, again, Honor Health Research Institute. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
In the 1770s, when the American Revolution rumbled thousands of miles away, the Gila River flowed wide and strong through what we now call Arizona. For the Alcomadalatam, the river people, the Gila was life. Generations of Alcomadalatam farmers built an intricate network of irrigation canals, including their ancestors, the Hohokam. They harvested from fertile riverbanks and fished in its waters. The river wasn't just a source of food. It was central to ceremony, trade, and identity. But over the next century, change came swiftly. As settlers arrived in the 1800s, upstream dams and diversions began to slow the flow. Much of the Gila's water was claimed before it could reach the Alcomadalatam's fields. The once thriving agricultural system of the river people suffered devastating losses. Through the 20th century, the Gila River was reshaped by reservoirs, canals, and legal battles over water rights. Today, the Gila still flows, but differently. Decades of advocacy has restored some water to the Alcomadalatam, allowing them to revive traditional crops and cultural practices. The river remains a reminder of resilience, adaptation, and the deep ties between water and people in the desert. From a lifeline in the 1770s to a contested resource in modern Arizona, the Gila River story is more than geography. It's a testament to survival. And for the river people, its flow carries the past, nourishes the present, and shapes the future.
The Maricopa Community College system is calling on the state of Arizona to restore foundational operating aid. The district says that it's received $0 in state operating funds since 2015, jeopardizing the role of community colleges and impacting the regional economy. Stephen Gonzalez is chancellor of Maricopa Community Colleges, and he joins us now. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You know, restoring foundational operating aid. What is foundational operating aid?
So operating aid there's actually a formula in state statute that describes how much each community college district in the state should receive. It's largely based on enrollment. We have been eliminated from the budget since 2015. We're reintroduced into the budget about a year or two after that. But however, we have not received any operating aid since then.
So I don't, it's nothing since 2015?
That's correct.
And you're supposed to be getting some?
We're supposed to be getting some. So you can think of the community college funding as a three-legged stool: tuition, property tax, and state appropriation.
Yeah.
And we are now a two-legged stool where we depend largely on tuition and property tax.
I've got this amounting to more than like $650 million in state monies.
Yes.
This is Maricopa County Community Colleges only, or did I see Pima Community College?
Pima Community College District has also been in that same boat with us. However, there was a year or two where they received some funding, but it was very minimal.
What, I don't, are there community college districts? Are they getting funding?
They are. They are receiving their formulaic funding, as I described, based largely on enrollment, and they're also receiving what's called a rural operating aid, given their what may be available in terms of what's taxable entity may be not as much as Maricopa and Pima Community College Districts have, and so they get a rural operating aid to make up some of that difference.
What is the reasoning here? Is the reasoning that the property taxes and the tuition the two-legged stool should be enough? What's going on?
I wish I could explain exactly what's going on and the reasoning behind why we haven't received operating aid. But I think it's really more important to talk about why we should, and I'm really happy to do that.
Okay, please do. The impact, just talk about the impact of the loss of the aid.
Sure. Well, for Maricopa Community College District, we are the largest provider of workforce development in our state, which goes hand in hand with a strong economy. And since 2015, with the loss of this aid, it has really harmed our ability to expand important programs, to employ the types of people that will be directly in front of our students. We've had to make some difficult choices over the last several years. The Maricopa Community Colleges educate between 150 and 60,000 students on an annual basis. We have a large economic impact on Maricopa County and our state, over $9 billion. So the absence of those funds has been a challenge for us, but certainly having those would allow us to do even more for our state.
And you just described this as a disconnect between economic goals, and we know the state has a lot of economic goals. We hear about them all the time.
Right.
And the investment that is required to achieve those goals. That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. We would like for our state legislators to see the Maricopa Community College District as an investment that the state makes. We've been able to prove that for every dollar you invest in Maricopa Community Colleges, you're going to see a $4 rate of return. And our graduates, in fact, will see a larger rate of return. Another thing that I would like to point out about the Maricopa Community College District and its importance of the investment here is that 90% of our graduates stay inside Maricopa County. They're going to live, work, and play in Maricopa County once they finish with us.
The workforce programs, student services, these sorts of things, have you had to cut back or just not grow the way you'd like to see?
We've had to do both. We've had to cut back. Over the last 10 years, we've engaged in annual budget cuts. And while we've faced rising costs of natural inflation, we're very much a business-oriented organization that faces the same costs that any business would. So that has been a challenge for us as well.
And other long-term challenges that you see if this doesn't get rectified?
If this doesn't get rectified, and we've been seeing that this is an ongoing challenge. For example, with the state's sudden boom in the semiconductor industry, we've been called upon to produce somewhere between 10 and 15,000 semiconductor technicians. Something that we are more than happy to do, that we're well equipped to do, that we know that we can get the students to come into those programs and fill those programs. But without any operating aid, it makes it challenging for us. I want to be fair to the state and to say that we have received some one-time dollars to support some of our workforce programs, but one-time dollar is one-time dollar.
Right.
We need the money to continue to support the ongoing costs of those programs, to ensure that we've got the professors that we need, to also ensure that we have the most up-to-date equipment and technology.
Yeah, and your argument is that the state does play a role in this, that there is some responsibility there, correct?
That's correct. The state does have a responsibility, and it's in our state constitution that it has a responsibility.
I know you don't want to get too deeply into why this is happening, and I understand that, but I have to ask, Why is this happening?
So what I've been told by some is that, we have the ability to control our tuition, that our governing board has an ability to control its tax, but no one is ever really happy to see a tax increase on their property or to see an increase in tuition. Our board has done an amazing job of keeping those at very low cost and being good stewards of taxpayer dollars.
So is that what you're hearing from lawmakers about this, that you were better able to handle this than maybe some of those rural districts?
Correct.
Yeah. At some point, though, you're going to hit a tipping point when it comes to tuition and taxes.
And we are. We are at that tipping point. And so those are some of the variables that our governing board is now considering. Again, they're painful decisions to make, but we've got a large organization to run, and we've got to deliver on the promise we've made to our community.
Do you think that those lawmakers in general, but the policymakers, officials, is there a disconnect? You say that there is, but do you think there truly is in their minds between community colleges and the economy, period?
I want to give credit to our legislators and believe that they understand the importance of the community college system and the role that it plays. I also respect the challenges that they have, especially in today's economy with what our state's facing in terms of revenues into the state. It's a really tight budget year. They've got to make tough decisions. There's only so many ways that you can split that dollar.
Chancellor, thank you so much for joining us. Stephen Gonzalez, Chancellor, Maricopa Community Colleges. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thank you.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening. I like to think that at Arizona Horizon we are unique in the way that we present information, public policy, sometimes news, these sorts of things, because we have conversations. And I don't want conversations that